wanted to touch on something. Many know me as an Israelite. Coming up as a Christian, I was made to feel, I guess, as if I was one that should not ever minister, being that I was born out of wedlock. And me, myself, I took that to mean that maybe I was an accident or a mistake, not someone that Yah has purpose. But as I read the text, I see that Yah himself makes no mistakes and no life comes about without his permission. It is his will. Time progressed in my lifetime, and he allowed me to know that I was pre-assigned at birth, that I was chosen by him to do what I do. I get it. A lot of what I say and what I do is not easy to take in by most. People think that all my ministry, all I focus on lately is polygyny. And I'm like, man, they don't see how them trying to make what is lawful unlawful is bastardizing our nation. Many of them that have offense towards polygyny, if they look at it, their parents had a relationship prior to their being birthed, probably with someone else, and not who's their father or who their mother. So if we did the one person for one person, and it was no, I guess, exceptions, they would not be here. If we look at even the bloodline of Yahusha, we see that Tamar is a matriarch in the line of Yahusha. But Tamar was a woman that was married to the son of Yahuda. Two of them, actually. And they both died without children. And she basically hid herself away, knowing the habits of her father-in-law or her lawful father. And she connected with him. And he believed her to be playing the harlot, because she was with child, not realizing that it was his own child. If he had never touched that woman, we would have no Yahusha. Even with Rahab being so-called labeled a harlot, she's in the bloodline of Yahusha as well. I spoke on a post on Facebook recently how David, King David, or Dawid's first wife was Michal, the daughter of Shaul. When she seen him dancing to the Most High with the Ark of the Covenant, she seen it as shameful, and her womb was closed up, and she was barren. If that man had not added any other wives, where would his kingship pass on to? Who would be the heir? Because she had no seed. They don't want to talk about that. Many of us would not be here. My second marriage, I have two beautiful children. Never going to knock the children of my first marriage, but every one of my children, favor is on them. Now, if Yah really did not favor me, as many would want to say, because of the consequences of my birth, they wouldn't be as they are. They wouldn't be the favored children that they are. I wouldn't be so baruch, me and my wife. But Yah ordained all of this. He ordered the steps. We keep on trying to make sin what Yah made a provision for his kingdom. Yaqub had 4 women that set up the 12 pillars of his kingdom. Many, if you read the story about the wife that he wanted, she was barren most of her time. Her two children were the youngest out of 12. And the funny thing about it is she gave up her maid before she ever had a child. So she added to him another woman that he didn't seek. But one thing that just for certain, there's some information that shows that she didn't have her heart turned to Yah. When they left the house of Laban, what did she steal? What did she take? She took his idols and she hid them under what? Her mount for her minstrel. So this woman was having her cycle and she hid, or she was showing that she still had her cycle and she hid those idols there. Maybe she wasn't having her cycle at that time, but she used that as a disguise to hide the idols from her father. She must have valued those things. Why would she steal them from her father? Seeing that Yaqub had increased from Yahuwah, why would she steal those idols unless that's where her trust in? And could that have been the reason why she was barren? And if she would have stayed loyal to those idols, would Yah ever had opened her womb? And why would he want to open his womb to an idolater and not someone that's walking after him? Leah's womb was opened several times. The maids' wombs were opened several times before Rachel's. Many will try to say fornication is being with other women, but no, it's being with other deities. And what? Rachel was the one guilty of being with other deities, not Yaqub. Yaqub was not guilty in being with these other women. It was Rachel. Her barrenness was due to what? Many don't ask that question. They don't talk about that. When you deal with King David again, we get it. Most people want to try to say that, adultery happened, with Bathsheba, and that was the problem. But what was the problem with that situation? It wasn't that he added her as a wife alone. It was that she was already married. That was the problem, that he laid with a married woman. All the other women, when he took on Abigail, the wife of basically what's his name, the one who would have been Bobo or whatever, he would have been a fool. His name was, he would have been a fool. He refused giving food and bread to David, and he was going to kill, David was going to kill that man. And that man's wife, Abigail, basically came out and fed David. Now, after that man died, that's when David went and took her as his wife, because he seen how honorable a woman she was. He added on another wife. And it was nothing ever said to be wrong with that, because her husband was deceased. He didn't take her beforehand. He didn't violate. He violated, though, with Bathsheba, watching her in her bath, because she was married. And then even after, what happens? The baby that was produced in that adultery died, but he had took on that woman, and after Yah had forgiven him, she was his wife, and he had Solomon. Solomon is in the line of Yahusha. Look, it's never been an issue with polygyny. The issue is with men and their lust. A lot of folks will try to make an issue and try to say, okay, if we go back to the perfect will, it was just a father, Adam and Eve. But Adam and Eve's children, who did they procreate with? That question is not clearly stated in the 66 books, but the other books say that they procreated with themselves. Unless, but also, people could say, well, there were other people. But then that would say there's a conflict with him creating Adam and Eve, that, that they were the only people. So I'm like, which one is it? You know that people want to I guess have their way so bad that they'll make the Bible be a lie. They'll let their emotions and their feelings dictate things. Me right here, I have two older siblings by that my father had with other women. If he stayed with one woman, I would not be here. Because those women, were still yet alive. They're still yet alive now. My father's deceased, but when he was with my mother, who was a virgin, had me. I was born of a virgin. So my mother had not been with anyone else but my father. Biblically, I'm not a mamzer. I'm not a bastard as people have always called me. But by this world standard, you make me unpure. Again, I took the hardness towards myself all my life, feeling like a cast off. And it took Yah to minister to me, to tell me that I was chosen. 2001. I'm 53 years old. In 2001, I was yet living a long time, in man standards. 2001 and it's 25, that was only 24 years ago. And I'm 53. I was giving up on life, and Yah had to let me know that I was pre-assigned, that he chose me. I get it. People want to disqualify me as minister. Do that. But you cannot deny the fruit. You cannot deny the process of my change and growth. If you knew me when I was younger and you know me now, you know I'm not the same. You can tell that Yah has an effect on me. But hey, it's not up for you to be the judge. It's up for Yah to. And as long as I'm following the lane and doing the will that he has set forth for me to do, I can't really be focused on you like that. But there's so many other people that need to hear this so that they don't reject the call that comes their way. Polygyny is not the main issue. No, it's not the main focus. But when you make it lawless, make it a sin, you are spoiling the Messiah. You're making him a mistake. You're really being the Antichrist. Going against polygyny is actually Antichrist, and people don't want to see it because he's a product of polygyny. Rather broken or not, he's a product of polygyny multiple times. I mentioned it with Rahab. I mentioned it with Yaqub. Mentioned it before even with before Dawid. You got it with Yahuda, Judah. Yeah, and you got it with Solomon because Solomon, he was the one abusing polygyny. He did it wrong. But again, you gotta wonder, was it his seed, first wife with Solomon that led to Yahusha? Which wife was it with Solomon that led to Yahusha? This is all stuff that we need to be talking about. But of course, our emotions and our feelings have us triggered so much that we can't talk about what's truth because it's not viewed as the time to. And I'm like, why not? If he's saying that a time is going to come where one man, seven women going to cling to one man, we need to not see it as sin. We need to see it as the prophetic word being fulfilled. But many folks are going to reject it because it's going to be happening and they're going to be calling it sin. You're going to have some people that's avoiding it that probably should be covered, but will be uncovered because they reject the revealing of the word. They say it's not time, but you want to say it's the end time. But what is that other than an end time prophecy? That seven women will cling to one man. Is that not an end time prophecy? And if we're in the end times and you're rejecting one of the major parts of the prophecy, you're rejecting the Messiah. All right, I'm gonna finish off this yard so I can get myself to work. But hallelujah, yada, Yahuwah, Shawnquilla, One Vision Ministry. Shalom, shalom. How do I stop this? Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna figure this out.